Hello everyone, I'm Smriti and today we'll discuss about the basic biomechanics of load, its types, strain energy, Poisson's effect and mechanical properties of trabecular and cortical bone. So let's start with the session. So let's start. First of all, what is load? Load is a term which is a force, any force or forces applied to a structure. As shown in this picture, a load is applied to a structure, suppose a bar, and first the bar gets deformed due to load, and the load force is that much high that it reaches its failure point. So load is any force that is applied to a structure. The magnitude, direction and rate of force applied as well as the size and composition of the tissue will all affect the tissue's response to load. And this is all we know. When a force acts on an object, it produces a deformation. So this is all about the load. So now what are the types of load? So as this is clear from this picture that there are 5 basic types of load that act on our body. So let's study one by one. Different type of loads are compression, tension, bending, shear and torsion. These are the 5 load forces that act on our bony structures or muscular structures in our body. So first one is compression. As it is clear from the arrows, when we compress the two ends of the bone, it produces a compression deformity in the bone. So compression is also responsible for the close packed position of the joint and it creates the contact between the joint surfaces. But if it is a pathological compression, it may produce a deformation or a fracture on the bone. Second one is tension. Tension or tensile forces basically produces the elongation in the bone, as this is very clear from the arrows marked on the tension part. So in this tension, magnitude of force is equal but is in opposite direction and applied parallel to the long axis of the bone. So it is clear from the picture that tension or tensile forces are equal in magnitude, acts on the opposite surfaces and acts parallel to the long axis of an object. So this is all about the compression and tension forces. Now the third one is bending force. Bending force is basically the amount of energy it takes to compromise the item from its natural shape or condition, causing element to bend. So basically जो bending force है वो क्या है, हमारी दो opposite ends पे लग रही है और जब भी ये एनर्जी लगती है तो हमारी जो नेचुरल शेप बोन की नेचुरल शेप या कॉन्फ़िगरेशन है वो चेंज होती है, जो हमारी बोन है वो बेंड हो जाती है. ओके, सो बेंडिंग फोर्स इज बेसिकली यूज्ड इन बायोमैकेनिकल टेस्टिंग ऑफ द बोन. नाउ फोर्थ वन इज shear forces. Shear force. Now, shear force are unaligned forces. This is very clear from the picture marked as shear. Shear forces are unaligned forces pushing one part of the body to one specific direction and another part of the body in the opposite direction. As this is very clear from the arrows in this picture. The arrow shows the opposite direction. So shear forces are those unaligned forces that push one part of the body in specific direction and another part of the body in the opposite direction. The basic of shear force is that it acts parallel to the contacting forces and limits the motion. So this is maybe this can be the benefit of shear force, that it limits the motion, but if it is pathological and it limits the motion, then it is not good for our body. Fifth and last one is the torsional force. Torsion is basically a torque force or a rotational force that is applied to any bone, object or anything and produces the deformity or rotation of that particular area. So torsion is basically a rotational force. So now we are all clear with the types of load forces that act on our bony system or muscular system, or we can say on our body. So we are clear that there are 5 basic forces: compression, tension, shear, torsion and bending. Now in this picture we are showing the mechanical loading of the bone with these 5 types of forces. So first picture is showing the compression force. Now compression force is producing a compression deformity in the bone, and the red box within the bone is showing the maximum compression site which will deform due to the compression force. Second one is the tensile force. Tensile force is acting on the bone and producing elongation, and the red box inside the bone is showing the maximum deformed area that will experience the maximum tensile force at that time. Third one is the shear force. So as it is very clear from the picture that forces are unequal, unaligned and are acting in opposite directions, producing or causing a fracture in the bone. Okay. Now fourth one is torsional force. Torsional force, as is very clear from the picture, is a rotatory force that is producing the rotation of the shaft of the bone and causing the bone to deform or get failed due to fracture. Fifth and last one is bending force. In this picture, there are 2 forces acting on the end, and to compensate these 2 forces, the sides within the bones are showing the third force, that is the bending force, that acts to balance these 2 unequal forces but ends up bending the shaft of the bone. So this is basically the mechanical loading of the bone. This is how a bone mechanically loads when there is some force, that may be compressive force, tensile force, shear, torsion or bending force. So this is very clear from this picture. So moving on to the next slide. So we have a picture now. This picture is an example showing the compressive and tensile forces. There are 2 pictures, A and B. A picture is showing the compressive and tension side, and the B picture is showing the negatively and positively charged action. Okay, so let's focus on the A picture first. So this is a very basic phenomenon naturally. If we compress the area, the opposite area will automatically get elongated. So this happens in bones also, that when a load is applied, suppose this is this is the head of the shaft that is getting compressed. The opposite side of that is getting elongated. That will become the tension side. And in the shaft, if anterior is tension side, then the posterior will be the compression side. Okay. So in B, this is correlated with the positively and negatively charged. Always remember, if there is a compression, the site will be negatively charged, and if there is a elongation or tensile force act, that will be the positively charged area, because the positively charged area will produce osteoclast action on other side contrary to it. If it is a compression side or a negatively charged side, it will enhance the osteoblast action. So this is a very important thing to remember, that if this is a compression side, it will be a negatively charged side and it will cause osteoblast action to increase. And if this that side is a tensile side or elongated side, that will be positively charged and will be helpful and increasing the osteoclast action. So this is all about this example. So next slide is, so now is the bending load. But before we discuss and start the bending load, if you remember in the last slide explaining the tensile and compressive forces, we are talking about the osteoclast and osteoblast actions due to tensile and compressive forces. I want to enlist a correlation for that. Suppose if there is a fracture, and we all know that in cases of fracture, the orthopedician suggests to apply traction to that bony structure. So when we apply traction to that bony structure, the new bone formation occurs between the fracture sites. So this is basically the correlation. We can correlate this, that when we give a traction, that is tensile force, there occurs a osteoclastic activity. Osteoclastic activity helps in removal of the worn out bone and helps in formation of the new bone there. So this is a clinical correlation I wanted to discuss with you all. So now moving on to the bending load. Bending load shows more compressive strength than tensile strength. So it is very clear from this picture and from our previous discussion that compressive strength is greater than the tensile strength in bending load. Bending load fails in tension. So in this picture, this is the picture showing 3 arrows on the bone, 2 arrows on the ends and 1 in the middle. The 2 arrows on the ends are trying to apply the force on the bone and produce some deformation. And the third one जो force है, that is applied by us to balance these two forces, but it results in bending or bending deformation of the bone. It may cause bending fracture of the bone also if the load force is that much high that the bone reaches its failure point. So this is all about the bending load here. So now about the shear forces. So let us see the example shown in the picture, that a girl is walking or maybe jumping, maybe running. In this picture we can't, she is performing some action. Okay, so if she places her foot on an uneven surface, there may be a valgus force that may act on her knee and cause fracture of epiphyseal plate. This valgus force is acting as a shear force here. Why? Because let's see in the left side showing the 2 surfaces of joint. The lower surface is going in a direction opposite to the upper surface. So that valgus force causes the shear, produces the shear in the joint and cause fracture of the epiphyseal plate. Epiphyseal plate, sorry. So we all know that shear force is unaligned and opposite in direction. Including that, shear forces are the combination of compressive and tensile loads. Okay, so it is very clear picture of shear force now, that shear forces are unaligned, opposite in direction, combination of compressive and tensile forces, and may cause injury to the joints. So this is all about the shear forces. So now this slide is just an example of tension and compression force that some bones are eccentrically loaded bones, including the femur bone in our body. So femur bone is a eccentrically loaded bone that it is bowed both in coronal plane and sagittal plane. So in these cases, the anterior lateral surface of femur is the tension area and the posterior medial surface of the femur is the compression area. Why? Because in curved long bones like femur that are eccentrically loaded, always the convex side of the diaphysis indicates the tension side. That is, the convex side is the tension side for any eccentrically loaded bone like femur. So this is only just an example, very clear. Anterior lateral surface tension, posterior medial surface compression. So this is just an example. Moving to the next slide. So till the last discussion, we are now very clear about the picture of load, its types, and the different forces acting in different ways, how they act on the bone, how they produce the deformation. Now we have very clear picture about that. Now we'll study about the load deformation curve. The load deformation curve is a curve that depicts that at what maximum load a deformation may return to its original configuration, or at what load it may not return to its original configuration, and at what point it will get at its failure region. Okay, so let's study this load deformation curve. In this picture showing load deformation curve, the x-axis is showing the deformation occurring in the bone. The y-axis is showing the load applied. Okay, so from the A point to the B point is the yield point, that is maximum elasticity point. This is the region of elasticity or elastic region. What is the depiction of elastic region is, if any load applied within this region and produces a deformation, the bone will get back to its original configuration if the load is removed within this region A to B, that is elastic region. Elastic region में अगर हम कोई लोड अप्लाई करते हैं और जो भी डिफॉर्मेशन आई, अगर हम वो लोड हटा देंगे वहां से, तो जो भी डिफॉर्मेशन है वो हट जाएगी और अपनी ओरिजिनल कॉन्फ़िगरेशन पे वापस आ जाएगी बोन. ओके, बी इज द यील्ड पॉइंट, यानी कि ये मैक्सिमम पॉइंट तक ही इलास्टिसिटी रहेगी, उसके बाद नहीं. फ्रॉम बी टू सी इज द प्लास्टिक रीजन, दैट इफ अ लोड इज अप्लाइड फ्रॉम द पॉइंट बी टू सी, any deformation occur may or may not return to its original configuration. It may return back but will never be the original configuration. It is always changed. That is the plastic region, that any deformation applied will never return to its original configuration. The C point is the ultimate failure point, that if a load is applied beyond the C point, the bone will get fractured. Okay, the ultimate failure point of the bone, that is the after the which the bone will get fractured, is C. So this is what a load deformation curve will tell us about the load and deformation. So the most important thing we should remember is, if the area where the load is applied is more, it will withstand more force while getting less deformed. That is, अगर किसी भी एरिया पे हम फोर्स, किसी भी बोनी एरिया पे हम फोर्स लगा रहे हैं, तो अगर वो एरिया ज़्यादा है तो वो ज़्यादा फोर्स ज़्यादा लोड में भी कम डिफॉर्म होगा एज कंपेयर टू शॉर्ट बोन्स जिनका एरिया कम होगा तो वो कम फोर्स में भी ज्यादा डिफॉर्म कर जाएंगी। तो दिस इज बेसिकली विच वी कैन प्रिडिक्ट फ्रॉम द लोड डिफॉर्मेशन कर्व। Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So now as we are clear with the load and load deformation properties, we will now discuss about the different load behaviors, that is static load behavior and cyclic load behavior. First of all, let's study the static load behaviors. Now what are static? Static means जो रुका हुआ है, stable है, okay? So from its name it is very clear that static loads exhibit very little movement or have little or no change due to balance and the equal action of opposing forces in the structure. Static load जो है वो बहुत little movement होगी या फिर कोई movement नहीं होगी structures में, उसको बोलते हैं static load, ठीक है? Static load doesn't change over time, यानी कि अगर आज 5:05 है तो कल भी इसी वक्त 5:05 ही होंगी, ठीक है? तो स्टैटिक लोड्स नेवर चेंज ओवर द टाइम। जो इसकी मैंने एग्जांपल यहाँ पे ली है, बेसिक एग्जांपल ताकि आपको क्लियर हो जाए, दैट इज द लोड ऑन द ऑफिस फ्लोर। ओके, अब ये जो चेयर है, चेयर का जो लोड है ऑफिस फ्लोर पे, ठीक है, तो दैट इज द स्टैटिक लोड। वो चेयर वहां से मूव नहीं होती, हमेशा वहीं पे पड़ी होती है, ठीक है? अच्छा, अगर वो नहीं लेना तो सेकेंड वन हम क्या ले सकते हैं कि चेयर पे पर्सन का जो लोड है, अब अगर मेरे कैबिन में कोई चेयर है तो मेरा वेट उतना रह रहा है, मेरी फोर्सेस चेंज नहीं हो रही, मैं उतना ही लोड दे रही हूँ हमेशा चेयर पे, तो दैट इज द स्टैटिक लोड। ओके, अच्छा, अब हमें अगर कोरिलेट करना हो अपनी बॉडी से तो कैसे करेंगे? द पोजिशन ऑफ स्ट्रेट स्टैंडिंग। ओके, दैट इज द पोजिशन ऑफ स्टैटिक लोडिंग ऑफ द बॉडी। कैसे? जब भी हम सीधे खड़े होते हैं, हमारे पूरी बॉडी का जो वेट है, जो ग्रेविटी एक्ट कर रही है फ्लोर पे, वो हर पॉइंट पे सेम रहेगा। ओके, स्टैटिक लोड है यानी कि जब भी हमारी बॉडी स्ट्रेट रेस्ट पे है ऑन द फ्लोर, द लोड वी आर अप्लाइंग ऑन द फ्लोर और आवर फीट इज ऑलवेज स्टैटिक, इट इज नॉट चेंजिंग ओवर टाइम और ऑन डिफरेंट सर्फेसेस। ओके, so this is the basic example of the static load. Moving to the next load. So now we will discuss about the cyclic load behavior. Okay, तो cyclic loading क्या है? Cyclic loading जैसे कि fluctuation, cycling loading का wordly meaning अगर हम निकालें, what is the wordly meaning of cyclic loading? Cyclic means in the cycle. It happens in the cycle that it will produce compression, then relax, then produce, then relax, then produce. Okay, so it will change over the time. So if we can define cycling loading, we'll define it as cycling loading is the application of repeated, concentrate here, cyclic loading is the application of repeated or fluctuating stresses, strains or stress intensity. Okay, simply लिखो, cyclic loading is the application of repeated forces to the location on structural components. Okay, यानी कि जब भी fluctuations होंगे, यानी कि forces over the time being change हो रही हैं, कभी बढ़ रही है, कभी कम हो रही है, कभी बढ़ रही है, कभी कम हो रही है, कभी ज्यादा लोड आ रहा है, कभी कम लोड आ रहा है, तो दैट इज द साइक्लिक लोड। ओके, तो अगर सिंपल एग्जांपल जो मैंने यहाँ पिक्चर में शो करी है, दैट इज द कार ओवर द ब्रिज। ओके, तो कार ओवर द ब्रिज कैसे एग्जांपल है साइक्लिक लोडिंग का? जब भी जो कार्स हैं, कुछ कार्स लाइट वेट होती हैं, कुछ हैवी वेट होती हैं, ठीक है, तो वो कुछ कार्स स्लो निकल रही हैं, कुछ फास्ट निकल रही हैं, इस तरह से जो लोड है ना विद इन द टाइम ऑन द ब्रिज, वो फ्लक्चुएट हो रहा है। जैसे ये ग्राफ में शो हो रहा है ना, वैसे बहुत ही ज्यादा फ्लक्चुएशंस आ रही हैं ग्राफ में, दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द साइक्लिंग लोडिंग। साइक्लिक लोडिंग इज डिफरेंट इंटेंसिटीज, डिफरेंट स्ट्रेसेस आने की वजह से जो वो लोड है, वो लोडिंग जो फ्रीक्वेंसीज हैं वो फ्लक्चुएट कर रही हैं। दिस इज द साइक्लिक लोड। ओके, सो अगर सिंपल एग्जांपल लेनी हो साइक्लिक लोड की, हमने तो बायोमैकेनिक्स ऑफ बॉडी करनी है ना, बीइंग अ फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट। तो if I am a physiotherapist and I want an example to correlate it with clinically, so cyclic load को हम कैसे simplify कर सकते हैं? Load of our body experienced by our feet while walking or running, in which when our feet touches the ground or our whole weight is transferred on that feet, and when we lift that feet up, the load is removed from that feet, and again we step and load is applied and then is removed. ठीक है, दिस इज द सिंपल एग्जाम्पल ऑफ साइक्लिक लोड इन द बॉडी। समझ आ गया? क्या है कि जब हम भाग रहे हैं या चल रहे हैं तो एक पैर पे वेट आ रहा है, फिर नहीं आ रहा, फिर आ रहा है, फिर नहीं आ रहा, फिर आ रहा है, फिर नहीं आ रहा। तो दिस इज साइक्लिक बिहेवियर, फ्लक्चुएटिंग एंड चेंजिंग ओवर द टाइम। दिस इज द साइक्लिक लोड दैट वी आर डिस्कसिंग हियर। ओके, सो मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। So, cyclic load and fatigue failure. Now, fatigue failure, that is very clear from its name that if anything is fatigued, it gets into failure. This is fatigue failure. So, अब इसका correlation क्या है cyclic loading के साथ, वो हम इसमें डिटेल में पढ़ते हैं। सबसे पहले तो हम ये देखते हैं कि ये जो डायग्राम है, this is a hysterical loop showing repetitive loading and unloading of a bone. Okay, so this is a hysterical loop showing loading and then in negative side unloading, loading and then unloading over many times. This process is repeated over many times with fluctuations. Okay, so these repeated fluctuations over many times can cause structure membrane to fail. Okay, अब एक्चुअल जो अल्टीमेट स्ट्रेंथ है हमारे मटेरियल की, ठीक है, वो बहुत ज्यादा है इस स्ट्रेस की कंपैरेटिवली, बट ड्यू टू रिपीटेड फ्लक्चुएशन द जो स्ट्रक्चर है, द स्ट्रक्चर गोज इन फैटीग एंड रीचेस अ पॉइंट कॉल्ड फैटीग फेलियर। इट इज अ वेरी सडन इवेंट। ओके, सो जब भी रेपिटेटिव स्ट्रेसेस हमारी बॉडी में आते हैं, रेपिटेटिव एंड फ्लक्चुएटिंग, they may not be that high that they can produce any injury, but due to their repetitiveness they can produce injury and cause fatigue failure. Fatigue failure gives no visible warning, unlike the static failure. It is a sudden and a catastrophic event. Okay, so this is all about the cyclic load and static load behaviors along with the fatigue failure associated with the cyclic loading. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So now we have a next subtopic, strain energy. Okay, so what is strain energy? In simplest way, internal energy is the strain energy. Okay, यानी कि जब भी कोई भी एनर्जी जो एक इलास्टिक बॉडी में स्टोर होती है, वो उसकी क्या है? स्ट्रेन एनर्जी। ओके, इसको हम और क्या कैसे हम बोल सकते हैं? एनर्जी स्टोर्ड इन एन इलास्टिक बॉडी अंडर लोडिंग, यानी कि जब भी कोई लोड अप्लाई कर रहे हैं हम किसी बॉडी पे, इलास्टिक बॉडी पे, तो उस बॉडी के अंदर उस टाइम पे जो एनर्जी स्टोर्ड है वो क्या है? उसकी स्ट्रेन एनर्जी। इसके एग्जाम्पल हम कैसे ले सकते हैं? जैसे हमारे इलास्टिक स्ट्रक्चर्स कौन कौन से बॉडी के? लिगामेंट्स एंड टेंडन्स। So ligaments and tendons are the elastic structures that can store strain energy like a spring. Okay, जैसे स्प्रिंग में स्ट्रेन एनर्जी स्टोर होती है जब हम उसको लोड करते हैं, उसकी टेंसाइल फोर्स लगा के या कंप्रेसिव फोर्स लगा के, तो उसके अंदर जो एनर्जी स्टोर होती है स्ट्रेन एनर्जी होती है। ओके, तो वैसे ही हमारी बॉडी के अंदर क्या है? जो लिगामेंट्स एंड टेंडन्स हैं, these are the elastic structures and when they get under loading they store strain energy within themselves. Okay, ये तो थी स्ट्रेन एनर्जी, बट स्ट्रेन होता क्या चीज है? स्ट्रेन है क्या चीज? स्ट्रेन का मतलब है चेंज इन रेशियो ऑफ चेंज इन कॉन्फ़िगरेशन टू द ओरिजिनल कॉन्फ़िगरेशन व्हेन अ लोड इज अप्लाइड। यानी कि जब भी कोई भी लोड हम बॉडी में अप्लाई करेंगे, ठीक है, उसकी वजह से जो चेंज आएगा कॉन्फ़िगरेशन में, ठीक है, दैट इज द स्ट्रेन। ओके, तो उस चेंजिंग आने की वजह से जो एनर्जी हमारे अंदर स्टोर हो रही है वो है स्ट्रेन एनर्जी। इट इज एज सिंपल एज दैट। स्ट्रेन एनर्जी इज द इंटरनल एनर्जी stored in the body, यानी कि stored in ligaments or tendons when they are under loading. Okay, this is very simple for to learn about the strain energy. So moving on to the next, we can move. So now Poisson's effect. What is Poisson's effect? Poisson's effect is a phenomena in which a material tends to expand in the direction perpendicular to the direction of compression. Okay, यानी कि जिस डायरेक्शन में हमने कंप्रेशन फोर्स लगाई उसके ही परपेंडिकुलर डायरेक्शन में मटेरियल जो है वो एक्सपेंड करना स्टार्ट कर देगा। इसको अगर हम सिंपलेस्ट वर्ड्स में कहें, सिंपलर वर्ड्स कौन से होंगे इसको डिस्क्राइब करने के लिए? Poisson's effect describes the expansion or contraction of a material in the direction perpendicular to the direction of loading. Okay, यानी कि जो भी हम चेंज हम अगर लोडिंग कर रहे हैं तो उसकी परपेंडिकुलर डायरेक्शन में या तो एक्सपेंशन होगी या कंट्रैक्शन होगी। ओके, सो दिस इज सिंपल अबाउट द पॉइजन्स इफेक्ट। अब पॉइजन्स इफेक्ट को हम मेजर कैसे कर सकते हैं? इट इज मेजर्स यूजिंग पॉइजन्स रेशियो। ओके, इस पिक्चर में हमने शो किया वी आर अप्लाइंग द लॉन्गिट्यूडनल स्ट्रेन एंड जो डॉटेड लाइंस हैं वो क्या शो कर रही हैं? लेटरल स्ट्रेन। ठीक है, तो अगर हम सिंपलेस्ट वे में कहें कि जब भी हम एक डिफॉर्मिंग फोर्स लगाते हैं, ठीक है, तो डिफॉर्मिंग फोर्स लगाने के बाद जिस भी हमने स्ट्रक्चर लगाई तो उसकी लेंथ में भी चेंजेस आएंगे, ठीक है, उसके रेडियस में भी चेंजेस आएंगी। ठीक है, suppose its length increases by small amount, suppose dl, but अगर dl उसकी लेंथ इंक्रीज होगी तो उसका रेडियस ऑटोमेटिकली dr रिड्यूस हो जाएगा। ठीक है, तो दिस इज हाउ वी कैन calculate Poisson's ratio. Poisson's ratio is equal to lateral strain over longitudinal strain. Okay, तो लेटरल स्ट्रेन क्या होगा? लेटरल स्ट्रेन क्या है? ध्यान से देखो, लेटरल स्ट्रेन क्या है? डिक्रीज हो रहा है उसका रेडियस। ठीक है, लेटरल स्ट्रेन इज रेडियस इज गेटिंग डिक्रीज। ओके, सो लेटरल स्ट्रेन इज डेल्टा आर यानी डी आर ओवर आर, यानी कि स्ट्रेन क्या है? रेशियो ऑफ चेंज इन कॉन्फ़िगरेशन ओवर ओरिजिनल कॉन्फ़िगरेशन। तो ये हो गया लेटरल स्ट्रेन। लेटरल स्ट्रेन था चेंज इन कॉन्फ़िगरेशन कौन सी थी लेटरल स्ट्रेन में? रेडियस। तो डी आर ओवर आर इज लेटरल स्ट्रेन। लॉन्गिट्यूडनल स्ट्रेन क्या है? लेंथ चेंज हुई तो dl ओवर l इज द लॉन्गिट्यूडनल स्ट्रेन। सो पॉइजन्स रेशियो हमने कैसे निकाली? लेटरल स्ट्रेन ओवर द लॉन्गिट्यूडनल स्ट्रेन। तो इससे हम पॉइजन्स इफेक्ट मेजर कर सकते हैं, यानी कि अगर हमने जो भी हमने अप्लाई किया, लोडिंग अप्लाई की, तो उसके परपेंडिकुलर डायरेक्शन में क्या कंप्रेशन या इलोंगेशन आया। ठीक है, तो ये हम है पॉइजन्स इफेक्ट। इसको हम मेजर कर सकते हैं पॉइजन्स रेशियो से। प्रैक्टिकल वैल्यूज जो पॉइजन्स रेशियो की रहती है वो है 0 to 0.5। प्रैक्टिकल वैल्यूज इसके अंदर ही रहती हैं। ठीक है, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में हम देखेंगे कि अलग अलग स्ट्रक्चर्स की हमारे बॉडी में कौन कितनी पॉइजन्स रेशियो है। तो बेसिकली दिस इज द इफेक्ट दैट वी शुड नो अबाउट। पॉइजन्स इफेक्ट क्या है कि जब भी हम कोई लोडिंग अप्लाई करते हैं बॉडी में तो वो स्ट्रक्चर उसके परपेंडिकुलर डायरेक्शन में इनलोंगेट या कंप्रेस होती है। ठीक है, इसको मेजर करते हैं हम पॉइजन्स रेशियो के साथ, दैट इज लेटरल स्ट्रेन ओवर द लॉन्गिट्यूडनल स्ट्रेन। दिस इज वेरी सिंपल टू मेमोराइज। So now this is the picture showing the Poisson's ratio of various structures in our body. This is to show you that our body's structures remain in the natural value of Poisson's ratio. As for cortical bone it is 0.3, cancellous bone it is 0.25, and for cartilage, meniscus matrix, meniscus horn it is 0.45. that is they lie between the 0 to 0.5 range.
This is just a picture to make you clear about the Poisson's ratio of various structures in our body. So moving on to the next slide.
So moving on to the last subtopic of today's session, mechanical properties of trabecular and cortical bone. So first of all, what is a spongy bone or a trabecular bone and what is a cortical bone? In a bone, spongy bone is also called a cancellous or trabecular bone. It is found in the long bones and it is surrounded by the compact bone. यानी कि जो बीच वाला स्पॉन्जी एरिया है बोन का वो है ट्रेबेकुलर बोन एंड द एरिया सराउंडिंग द स्पॉन्जी बोन that is heavy, tough and compact in nature, that is the cortical bone. Okay, so spongy area in the bone is known as the trabecular bone and the area surrounding the spongy bone that is heavy and tough is called as cortical bone. So moving on to the next slide.
So now we'll study about the mechanical properties exhibited by a bone, that is bone tissue characteristics. So basic four bone tissue characteristics are anisotropic, viscoelasticity, elastic nature of the bone and plastic nature of the bone. We will study
first of all, elastic biomaterials means the elastic characteristics of the bone. So as we all know, there are two types of materials, brittle materials that fails before permanent deformation and ductile materials that deforms greatly before failure. Okay, यानी कि ब्रिटल वो हैं जो जल्दी टूट जाते हैं, डक्टाइल वो जो बहुत लेट तक डिफॉर्म होते हैं फेलियर होने से पहले. ठीक है, तो these are the elastic and plastic characteristics of bone. This is the picture showing the load deformation curve of ductile material, brittle material and a bone. Bone exhibits both the characters of brittle and ductile material, which means that after a specific load, bone will become brittle, but up to that maximum load, the bone exhibits the properties of ductile material. Okay, so this is the basic elastic and plastic characteristics of a bone. So moving on to the next property. So the next is viscoelastic response. We all know that as soon as the load is applied, the bone starts to deform. But how the bone will deform and how fast or slowly will it reach to its maximum failure point, ultimate failure point, it all depends upon the rate at which the load is applied. This is the viscoelastic response of the bone. That is, if the load is applied slowly, then the bone will fracture sooner as compared to the fast applied load. This is a viscoelastic response of a bone to load. So moving on to the next property. So here now we will compare the mechanical properties of trabecular bone with that of cortical bone. So as we all know, trabecular bone is the inner spongial layer of the bone and cortical bone is the outer dense layer. So if we compare the load mechanism, when a load is applied to the both bones, the trabecular region gets oriented in line, dense at one side and less denser in the other. On the other hand, if we see the cortical rearrangement, then cortical bone will arrange in concentric layers when load is applied. So from this we can understand that trabecular bone is less stiffer and can sustain less stress as compared to cortical bone. Cortical bones are stiffer and can withstand greater stress while deforming less. Okay. So if loaded in compression, longitudinal sections of bone show the greatest strength. This is common for both trabecular and cortical bones that they can withstand much higher compressive stresses before failing than compared to the tensile stresses. If we discuss about the physiological response of trabecular bone to loading, the physiological response that occurs in trabecular bone to loading is hypertrophy. Trabecular bone, as similar to cortical bone, can withstand greater compressive force as compared to the tensile forces. This is all about the mechanical properties of trabecular and cortical bone. So here is the picture showing behaviors from testing of cortical bone and the trabecular bone. These findings show that the bones are stronger in compression than tension. Okay, and different properties with different bone types. If bone types are different, then the properties will differ accordingly. Okay, so this is the simple picture I have included. So here is a simple graph showing and comparing the load displacement curves of cortical bone with that of cancellous bone. From this graph, it is very clear that cortical bones are withstanding greater stress while they are deforming less. So this is a simple graph to show this. In this, we can add that rate, frequency, duration, magnitude and type of loading are all affect the the response the bone will have upon loading. So rate, frequency, duration, magnitude and type of loading all are very important consideration while checking about the effect or response that will happen in a bone due to loading. Repeated loadings, either for high number of low loads or one application of high load, can cause permanent strain or bone failure. Bone loses its stiffness and strength with repetitive loading as a result of creep strain. Creep strains occur when a tissue is loaded again and again while the material is undergoing creep. Okay, so this is all for load deformation curve of cortical bone and cancellous bone. The main thing we have to remember that repeated loading, either repetition of low loads or a single repetition of high load, can cause permanent strain, deformation or bone failure. This will also affect the stiffness and strength of the bone. So we have to be very conscious while loading and strengthening a bone. So till now we have all discussed about the load in different types and the static and cyclic load behaviors and the mechanical properties of the bone. So now we will study about the exercise and bone health. How exercise affects our bone health. So there is a Wolff's law which states that bone remodels according to the functional demands. That is, our functional demands decides the modeling of the bone. Second is, exercise always increases our mechanical stress and strain. We all put our bodies on extra stress when we exercise, but this is very beneficial because when we put our body in extra stress while doing exercises, it improves our blood oxygenation. It results in increase in our growth hormones, which in turn results in our increased bone and mass density. That makes our bones stronger, stiffer, and we are able to store more energy than before. That's why exercise-induced stresses and strain are useful for our bone health. But overtraining should always be avoided. Overtraining makes muscles hypertrophied. Overtraining, especially in children and elders, may prove counterproductive. We have already discussed that overtraining or loading in trabecular bone produces a physiological response in muscles, that is hypertrophy. So overtraining should always be considered as a bad thing. So overtraining should be avoided. So this is all about the today's session. Ending up this lecture with the quote, the body doesn't lie. Our body when feels stressed, it doesn't lie. We should not overstress our body and should always be careful while handling a load. So we should not overstress our body anywhere, anyway. So ending up with this, thank you so much. Have a good day.